Are you worried about Trump potentially being elected to a second term?
Shouldn't we all be worried about that?
Are you worried about it particularly for you?
Yes.
Why?
Because I think that he will try to make even more of an example out of me. And also because his followers will probably be even more bold, thinking if they do something, he'll pardon them.
Well, and bear in mind, if he does that, the pardon is a core thing that the president does. He definitely has 100% absolute immunity in relation to that. And so if some red hat wearer went and shot Stormy Daniels in the street and Trump pardoned that person, there's literally nothing that can be done. The Supreme Court has already said, no, it is absolute immunity for core stuff, and the pardon is an example of that. And so if I were her, I would be worried, not only about the retribution, which there's very good reason for her to be worried about that. And in that interview, she logs all the different ways that her and her family and her pets have been attacked and all of that. But also just put yourself in her place. She's waited years now to feel like there was some sort of justice. And it felt like there was for like a month, and now gone. Potentially, totally gone.
The video will continue in just a moment, but first I have a message for you. TYT needs your help. Membership is vital to survival, so please go to tyt.com/team and become a member today.
We're gonna give you a little bit more of Stormy Daniels here.
I am prepared. This is my hill to die on, and I will probably potentially lose everything and maybe even be arrested because I'm not giving up my daughter's personal information. And if that means I am in contempt of court, I have done everything. I have shown up in court. I have told the truth. I have flown up here. I've met with prosecutors. I have honored the subpoena. I've done everything they have asked me to do, and they have not protected me. And this is the one thing. This is my line in the sand. This is my little girl.
Yeah, so there she's talking about the request that there is for extra documentation or revealing something about her daughter. I have no idea what it has to do with literally any of this, but she is worried. You can hear the emotion in her voice. We don't know what future awaits her if Donald Trump, who has now been given a guarantee that he can get away with even more criminal acts than he did the first time around, that he won't go after her. He was enraged by the experience that he had in that courtroom. He is going to place the blame on her. If I were her, I would be worried as well. Sharon, what do you think?
Yeah, and I watched more of that interview. What she's talking about is that Stormy Daniels owes him about $600,000. That's how twisted this situation is, because she lost the defamation case, which she was not allowed to present any evidence. She made the reference that she and E. Jean Carroll have the exact same thing said about them. He called both women liars. Both women were telling the truth. But because of perhaps the way she was looked at inside the judicial system, she was not allowed to present evidence. And now she owes him attorney's fees. And as part of this, he wants, which is sick, her daughter's like 13, and they want to know where she resides with her father when she's not with Stormy, and all kinds of private information about a 13-year-old, as if that has anything, as if she has anything to do with this. It's sick. She should be worried. We should all be worried. I had a dream last night, a nightmare we'll call it, where it was like, even me, big mouth me, stopped saying the things that were true. Stop speaking truth to power, because I imagine this is what a dictator was like. All this crazy stuff. I woke up thinking, where's Kim Jong-un? Because that's where we are.
Yeah, and we have to remember, like, if he gets in, he is protected and he is vindictive and he is flawed and he wants revenge, and all of that will be true and all of that is terrible. But like, if you had a pie chart of all of the threat that's about to come, all the danger that various groups and individuals and organizations will be in, like, he's a significant chunk of it, but he is going to surround himself by arguably worse people. Thousands of them, thanks to Project 2025. Everyone is going to be prosecuting their own personal vendetta against racial groups that they don't like and sexual orientations that they don't like, and I don't know, women in general and all of that. And they'll be doing it at every level of government, in every organization, many of them judges as well. Buckle yourself up, everyone. Let's lighten the mood for just a sec. Kind of a little bit. The closest that we came to anything like a joke in the interview last night, I think, would be this.
maybe this is too far for our conversation right now, but for all those people who like to drag me about talking about what his genitals look like, don't you think for a second that I wish there was something else I could prove? I wish he had a birthmark that looked like the state of Texas on his shoulder, or a funny looking mole. That's the only thing that proves that he did take his clothes off in front of me.
Yeah.
And you know as well as I do that if he hadn't, that I was lying, he'd have whipped his junk out a long time ago and proved that I was a liar. And it's the only thing I have. And he knows I'm telling the truth, which is why he wanted to shut me up.
I want her to have the best chance possible of proving her case before the American people, but I'm also very glad that it didn't come to that. Just gonna say that. Any final thoughts, Sharon?
I also listened to this portion of the interview, and she goes further about, in a Monica Lewinsky-esque Linda Tripp kind of way, what else went down, and she had to clean up. And I'm sorry. I went and I alluded to it, and I didn't mean to, but I can't be the only one grossed out by this. I can't be the only one. This woman is a survivor and a victim. She's still being victimized up here by what she went through at age 27 by this monster of a guy. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Okay, we're gonna be optimistic later on. Okay, I'll also mention that in addition to, you had AOC earlier this week, Bernie Sanders talking about the Supreme Court and how it's utterly out of control, which it definitely is. One of the other avenues some politicians are now talking about is the constitutional amendment to place what would seem to be unnecessary, like not needed to be spelled out, limitations on the ability of the president to evade the law. And that's great, but of course it's gonna fail because the right wing wants him to be a king. Let's just be very clear about that. We're gonna talk more about sort of the monarchical turn that the right has taken later on in this hour, but I'm glad that people are talking about these amendments. The issue is that the right wing wants a president who can do literally anything he wants because they think the system is rigged enough that they can get their sort of dictator in. If they thought that there was a 50-50 chance that a Democrat would win or whatever, they wouldn't want this, but they think they'll get a white Christian straight dictator that will prosecute and persecute all of the groups that they hate. And that's the turn that they've made. So they would never accept any a constitutional amendment like this, even if it seems like the most obvious thing from these people that talk about being anti-elite and anti-establishment and anti-status quo. Thanks for watching our video. Did you know that you can support our show by becoming a subscriber? Just click the subscribe button and also ring the bell so that you get notifications when we're live or when we post new content.